Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and children of all ages. My name is Howie Darkstar, and filling in for Brian S. Red tonight. And our special guest, the co-host here, is Jimmy Spin, otherwise known as Jimmy DePalma. And
Hey, what's going on?
we're going to be talking about uh, cooperating and working with another DJ and the benefits involved in that. Jimmy, what was the very first event we did together?
The Poconos wedding.
Up in the Poconos, yes.
Yeah, Poconos wedding was the
Yeah.
first event.
Well, what happened with the Pocono wedding was they had a need for three different sound systems, and the theme was Enchanted Forest. So they actually got the deluxe package at this resort up in the Poconos, and they had a chapel out literally in the middle of the woods. It was about quarter of a mile to a half a mile little path through the woods, and then all of a sudden there's this big clearing with a stone archway where the ceremony took place. So I needed one system there. Then in this renovated barn, they were having cocktail hour in the basement, and the ceremony system would be upstairs. And they asked me, could I do that? And my answer is always yes. But I knew I couldn't do it alone. I hit up Jimmy and I said, look, I'm going to need some help. And that's where it began. Being that I know Jimmy, the way to do that was get somebody with that specialty. I gave him, I don't know, maybe 10 songs or whatever, and he has the musical knowledge. He was able to just run with it. That was something off of my plate, which was awesome. So I was able to go and do the ceremony, then walk down and start to do the cocktail hour. And once that fired up, I went up and broke down the ceremony system, put it in the truck, went back into the cocktail hour, did that. Jimmy was already set up and playing music. And Jimmy, why were you playing music upstairs already while the cocktail hour was?
People were coming upstairs.
Exactly. People always go into where they're not supposed to be, don't they? They go peek in. And also, we also had elderly and disabled that came right into the reception area.
Yeah, because wheelchair ramp in.
Yes. So that's going to happen. You can expect that to happen, that people are going to be there. And one of my big sayings, Jimmy, what is it? We don't want to, what? We don't want to let people know how the sausage is made.
No. They just want to know how it tastes, not how it's made.
Right. So when everybody came there, wherever they went, everything was already set up. We actually started at 9 in the morning, and they didn't even see how it was taken down because they were at the next event at the wedding. In other words, when they were in the cocktail hour, they didn't see the teardown. And then when they went upstairs, they didn't see the teardown at the cocktail. So that it was necessary to do that, and I think wise on my part. And it took a big load off. I think you did a fantastic job.
It saved our butts because we had a little bit of equipment failure on a little module, and Howie, due to his fantastic planning, always has a backup plan, and we were able to save the gig. At least the lighting portion.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a big thing. Redundancy. Everybody talks about having a backup for the music. Very rarely have I seen it talked about having a backup for your lighting.
Well, especially when you're selling it.
Yeah, that was very important. And the fact that I actually upsold this couple on spotlighting their grand entrance, spotlighting the first dance, and spotlighting the cake cutting there was no, well, no problem. We'll just use remote controls. No, I actually had another controller there that I put into place and was able to aim the lights where we needed to in, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes. But they didn't see that because that was done, I guess, about
They didn't
11.
know anything
They
was.
didn't know anything went wrong. And that's how
Yeah.
it should be.
Yeah.
So,
And because I was there already set up, setting up audio, making sure playlists were ready.
mhm.
He could just concentrate on the lighting and all the other stuff that, it just lightened the load a little bit.
It lightened it an awful lot because any any event, whether it's corporate or not, there's going to be changes, last minute changes, and so forth. And so we've done events after that that also had changes.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, most recently was the December 5th wedding we did down here in Carolina.
exactly.
They wanted, now everybody knows painting with light is different than painting with, you know, paint. All right. So you can't make burgundy, all right, out of lighting. You can get like a bloody purple or, something that's like a dark, dark pink or something like that, but it's never going to be the same. So people get in their heads, oh, this. It doesn't work that way. Light behaves differently than fabric or paint or printed material. Just you're not going to get deep. You can get deep saturation. You're not going to get deep color or
Right.
lack of color.
Well, just from my background in theater, I know about that, and Ben Stowe has an excellent video on that. If you folks want to pick that up at NLFX, but what people ask me when we did the Irish pub at Expo last year, they go, "Wow, 96 scenes. Why do you need that?" Well, when I built that 2018 show, that had variations on that color you were saying. In other words, if I was to shine a magenta on a pure white background, it's going to look much different than like the North Carolina wedding that had uh, the I guess it would be walnut paneling, old style with all the edges and the molding and so forth. So I have variations where it's muted and hotter than the original color, so that there might be one portion that in between that was white, and I mute that a little bit, and then the walnut portion I run a little bit hotter. That way the colors mix a little bit better. And we kind of dialed in their bridal colors, didn't we, Jimmy? What happened then? 10 minutes before it was
Yeah,
showtime.
10 minutes before it was purple and they were looking around and they weren't really happy with it. So the venue had a little bit of lighting, that recessed lighting that they hide behind moldings and we were like, okay, what are we going to do here? So they wanted to switch, and they wanted to switch over to an amber color. So guess what? Voila, we switched to amber. And they were amazed. They were like, oh, wow, you could do it that fast? Yeah.
Yeah, this was Jimmy's event, so they naturally were asking him, and he all he had to do was look at me. That's the beauty of actually working with someone and knowing everybody knows their place and what they're supposed to do. And he just gave me the nod, and with the click of a mouse, I turned everything amber. And the lady, her eyes were so wide, she went, "Wow, thank you." You would have thought she won the lottery. She said, "Thank you so much. I thought you're gonna have to run around and change all those lights you have all over." And so it paid for me to have those scenes there that I could do at the click of a mouse. It made Jimmy look good. It made us look good as a team.
Well, it takes the stress when you work with two people. It takes a lot of the stress off
Mm-hmm.
of the event. You know, 'cause
That it does. Mm-hmm.
yeah, you got one person that can work while the other one answers all the questions to the bride or groom or everybody in between. And I don't know about you guys, but if you set up and you're trying to concentrate on stuff, having somebody come up with one question and 2 minutes later somebody else comes up with a question, it's very distracting. It's hard to remember where you are in your setup chain or what you were doing.
Exactly. And that came into play for me at the Pocono thing that we did, because I had so many balls in the air. I was able to just say, Jimmy, just go with it. And then they would come to me and they would make a request, let's say, and then I could relay that information back to him. But that was just one of those perfect storms where this particular event couldn't have been done with one person for sure.
Yeah, we had too much going on with the venue management there.
Mm-hmm.
They were a little difficult, to put it lightly.
Well, and actually, that's the first time that happened in, I'm guessing, well over 20 years. I had a great relationship with the venue manager for a whole year. We actually did a typed out timeline. Everything was perfect. The bride was on board with it. It was between the three of us, and she got in a car accident 2 days before the wedding. And they made the head waitress the venue manager, and she said, no, this is how we're going to do it. And I said, no, we've spent a year planning this. And yeah, we went back and forth a bit. And anyway, she actually physically went out. That's the venue there. She went out on the dance floor and told the people to sit down, and that they were going to do this next event. And so we just kind of rolled with it. And Jimmy and I just had a quick talk, and we said, look, we're going to get stuck here. They're going to push all the events, the garter thing and the cake, kind of everything all at once, because she was hoping that sticking us with 3 hours of music to play, that the people would leave early, and that the 1/3 of the people that traditionally leave after cake cutting would thin the crowd out. And it didn't.
She also refused to turn down the lighting in the venue to make the gobo.
Yeah, that was another thing. And we did the best we could at 4,000 lumen projector, and that's as bright as I could get it because it was still light outside. But when it did get dark, it looked good.
It looked really good.
It looked really good. But the dance floor was too full. Thanks to Jimmy, you really kept the crowd rocking that night. And the nice thing about that was that while I was dealing with this difficult person, Jimmy was able to keep the energy up in the room musically, and nobody knew what was going on with this venue manager. And I went back to Jimmy and said, this is what we got going. And the trick that we came up with was, look, after an hour and a half, I'm going to go over and talk to the bride and groom. And I said, look, your second choice for your first dance, I want to slow things down, give people a rest. I'm going to call you out to the dance floor. And they danced to 1,000 Years.
Yeah.
And they danced for, I guess it was a verse and a chorus. And then I said, Jack and Jill would like you to join them in this dance, please. And people had had their rest. They came back out.
Yeah.
The floor was full. And then we went right into a train. And I had that planned with the bride. She was the head of the train. She went around, she grabbed everybody. And as soon as we had them on the dance floor, what did you do, Jimmy? You went right into a banger, right?
Yeah, I forgot what it was exactly.
Yeah. And this was just an example of, I don't know, just knowing each other well enough. And then we did quite a few events after that together.
Yeah, we did that. Oh, what was that other place? The one over on your side, over in Jersey, the Rescue Squad and 911.
Oh, yes, the Rescue Squad. Yeah, that was an and I needed Jimmy for that because I knew this was going to be one of those really feisty drinking crowds. One of those, hey, we're going to get to drink for the once a year type of drinkers, and so there was a lot of uh, management skills involved in being a politician and so forth, and I was lucky to have Jimmy behind the.
Yeah, truth is, you just brought me with you because I'm big.
Yeah. If I needed that,
Anything went down, I'd knock them over.
but yeah, that was a lot of fun. So, Jimmy, can you think of any other benefits of working with another DJ?
Well, sharing the workload and being able to you feel that camaraderie, and you got somebody like, when you really killed the mix, or it's just the flow. It's just having your buddy along when you're on a winning team. Also, you got somebody to bounce ideas off of.
Exactly.
What do you think about this? What do you think about that? It's just reassuring. It gives you a level of comfort.
Yes.
That makes you enjoy your work a lot more, because it takes away the dirty part, or the rough part. It just makes it easier.
I'm going to agree with that, and I'm going to say there another at least how you and I work is that when we work together, I'm the lighting guy, a production guy, MC, and I can set up my lighting rig in a half hour. How long does it take you to set up Revolve 50s and your controller?
Let's see, 20 minutes, 25 minutes max.
So
that's everything.
Yes. So in other words, when we went to North Carolina, we actually had lights and music playing in what, 45 minutes?
Oh, it wasn't even that.
Yeah. So, and then at the end of the night, it was just the reverse, except a little bit quicker. We were actually on the road and driving in 45 minutes. And it just, I don't know, for me, it was sometimes if I'm running out of gas, I'm like, oh, I got the light show done. Now what? Now I got to take down the sound system. I mean, it just, that just.
There's that First Dance, by the way.
Yes, this is the Pocono wedding, isn't it?
Yes.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And there's the bridge, and there's a train when that thing got started. And
yes, this was after, we're after an hour and a half. We had her do the train, and then they started doing all these things with the raising of the chair and everything else. And
this was towards the end.
It was like they got their second wind for that. So we really did pull it off, a 3-hour music set.
Yeah, we ran them right up to the last minute. We weren't going to let her get off 1 minute early.
Yeah.
Howie was like looking at his watch, and he's like, "You got enough on there?" I go, "If I don't, I'm going to loop it."
Yep. And I actually did. I was looking at my phone, and I said, crap, man, that song's going to end. I said, Jimmy, you got to loop it. I don't want to end this until exactly 6 o'clock because I want to stuff it to that venue lady. That's not right. I know I'm going to hell for that, but she really tried to sabotage the wedding, and we weren't going to let that happen. And the nice thing is that the bride and groom didn't know anything about it, and they they complimented us and tipped us very generously, and
Mhm.
everybody had a great time except for the venue manager.
I mean, like,
I'm
have
going to
you ever
interrupt you.
heard of a
Oh,
wait?
hold on.
Step
Go
right
ahead,
over.
Brian.
Have you ever heard of wait staff walking up and grabbing your mic from somebody and giving it to another?
That sounds awful. But what I wanted to go back to is talk about the benefits of working with others. I think there are great benefits with working with other DJs. When we go out week after week after week, year after year after year, no matter what our skill level is, we can't know everything. And there are little things that you're going to learn working with another DJ. And it could be tiny. It could be a cable wrapping technique or a packing technique or something that you never thought of, and the other DJ is going to go, what are you doing that for? Let me show you this other way. And you're like, duh. I mean, you don't know, because you've been a one-man show for years. And so when you work with another person, it's those little details. I mean, I can talk about performance and all kinds of crap in my videos, but there's stuff I don't think of. And yeah, I mean, when I go work with other DJs, I'll do something and they'll go, wow, that's pretty cool. I never really thought about it. And vice versa, I'll see them do things like, holy crap, that makes life easy. So the more you work with others, I think the more that, we can kind of share our expertise and knowledge amongst our peers in a more efficient way than just videos of whatever we think of putting up.
I think that's a great point. I've actually picked up some tips from both of you guys, having worked with both of you guys. And the one that I really enjoy, which has not seen the light of day yet, but it will probably in 6 months or so when we hype up for our get together at the Irish Pub again, is I have a video of you, Brian, and I've actually used this, and it's a video where you were gracious enough that I had such a busy day, and you said, "Hey, dude, do you want me to do the MCing and the giveaways?" And I said, "Yeah, please." And just knowing Brian, hanging with him, I knew I could trust him. I handed him the mic. He even knew how to use the mic. He happens to have the same exact one, but I mean, it was like a no-brainer, and it was a relief to me. But when he was doing the giveaway, you did that impromptu thing where people weren't responding to the trivia part, and they were kind of stuck, and and then you went, all right, who's better looking, me or John? And the place just laughed like crazy when they yelled out, "You are!" And you go, "You won a hat." And I was thinking, man, what a classic way to take a potential, downer, and just turned it right around. I mean, the event just picked right up. And that was awesome. And I stole it.
I think we can learn a lot, and I've said this before, and nobody ever listens to me when I say it, but I think that we can learn a lot from stand-up comedy and watching them and their craft, because people say, well, there's nothing that, is even close to being a mobile DJ and being a stand-up comic, and I disagree, because it's all about timing.
Mm-hmm.
And comics have to have timing, and comics are doing things like acting like they're frustrated or they're panicking when they're not. It's a show.
There he is doing his announcing. Yes, that was perfect timing too, by the way, Brian. I mean, that was just like that with that. Oh my gosh, I was laughing so hard. That was great. And Jimmy, from you, I mean, just when I had a lull there, like, okay, it's a slow dance and it's just all blue lights and a simulated mirror ball. I'm leaning over and I'm looking at Jimmy. I'm like, hey, that was a really awesome transition. And I look at him and give him a high five, and that's that camaraderie he was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I just, oh my goodness. And then the only thing, my only regret is that I was front of house and I didn't get to be behind the booth to see all the cool stuff you guys were doing there at the Irish Pub. But yeah, that Brian, that's a great point. I mean, without even realizing it, I was just observing other DJs and just like, oh wow, I mean, right, live and in person.
It makes a difference. And like I said, it's not something that you think about, or I think about doing a video on sometimes. It's just something that I do.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody like yourself may see it, go, whoa, where'd that come from? And that's the good stuff. And you're never going to learn that unless you work with others. And, it could be somebody with 5 years experience. It could be somebody with, 25 years experience. It doesn't matter. We can't all know everything. And this is how I feel like I gained most of my knowledge as a DJ, was working with multi-ops back in the olden days. I mean, every week you went out with a different guy. And, sometimes the person you went out with, they were awful as a DJ, but they did this one little cable wrapping technique that changed your life.
Yeah. The little things, yeah.
It's the little things that make such a big difference.
Well, like us being able to, like, hey, can you want to do this event? Yeah, sure. Knowing full well that no matter what happens, we could be set up, we could tear down in 45 minutes. I mean, these days it's happened, and you see it in the forums all the time. These guys saying, they told me I could get in the room at 3:00 and they got another event going on. Well, yeah, the Hilton's in business to make money. And if somebody came up to them the day before and said, I want to rent the room, they're going to rent that room out. So you better be able to set yourself up and get the heck out of there in an hour. Most places these days tell me you got to be out of here in an hour.
Well, then the video I was showing earlier with, Greg, he's in the room. Greg worked with me on that one, and they rented out our room. We were supposed to be in there at 3. We didn't actually. We got in the space about 4:15. All right. Keep in mind, this was a 6:00. Music rolls at 6. Right, and we had a full light show to set up, and we were in there at 4:15. They still didn't get my DJ, stand, or the stage spun around for like half an hour. So I started just, him and we started doing sub-assemblies, like putting, wiring everything up. This way, when they got it, we moved it into place, and guess what? 6:00, I was running music, and he was off to go dress into his suit. So, voila, we made it work.
It's that saying, I don't know who said it, but I use it all the time: work smarter, not harder.
Yep. Absolutely.
Well, hey, Jimmy, if you don't have anything else, we're at the half hour.
Let's open up the floor. We gotta give a pause for the cause.
All righty. And
you want to toss it? Thanks everybody for watching.
I will. Thank you all for tuning in, and thank you all so much for cooperating with us. And we are going to open it up for discussion in 5 seconds. Thank you all, and good night.